Thanks for checking out this video, and it is time to get into what is coming to Shudder for January. Now, a few things I want to say up front. One, I know I say all the time that there are films that I want your input on. What should I make sure I get to? What can you co-sign on that if I think it sounds good, you say, yes, it is good. And there's stuff that I just say, oh, I know that's one that I've been wanting to see, so I'm going to get to it. The problem is, I never get to all of it. So just know that I'm going to keep saying, oh, I want to watch that, oh, I want to watch that, and then I end up not watching it and reviewing it because there's just too much to watch. And I also tend to just get kind of sidetracked very easily and just kind of like go off in random ways. The other thing I want to say is for all the Shudder original and exclusive films that I'm going to be talking about, I always have no spoiler reviews that go up the week of or the week prior, because I know one of these is coming out on like a Monday or yeah, I think it's a Monday. So if it's ever like a Monday or a Tuesday that it's coming out, then I'll usually drop the review that following Friday. So that will be the case for this one. But all the other ones usually come out on Thursdays, in which case I drop my no spoiler review on the Monday of that same week. So you can always come to my channel for stuff that's hitting Shudder that's either one of their exclusives or originals and get a no spoiler review to help you decide if you want to watch it or not. So let me go over for January what the original and exclusives are. The first one's coming January 6th. It's called For the Sake of Vicious. Ramina, an overworked nurse and single mother, returns home from her late shift on Halloween night to find a maniac hiding out with a bruised and beaten hostage. When an unexpected wave of violent intruders descend upon her home, the trio realize the only way out of the situation is to work together and fight for their survival. That sounds very interesting. Very excited for that one. I'll have a review for it. No spoiler. Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, A History of Folk Horror. I've known about this. This is the one that's coming out on a Monday. It's January 10th. This is supposed to go with a box set that I believe is being put out by Severin Films. I've read about it in Rue Morgue magazine. It seems really awesome. So this is basically a documentary, but let me read you the thing. From writer, director, co-producer Keir Lajanis comes a seductive megatext through the history of folk horror, featuring clips from over 200 films and interviews with more than 50 filmmakers, authors, and scholars that explore the rural roots, occult creeds, and cultural lore that continue to shape international cinema. An astounding achievement that Rue Morgue calls an unprecedented journey into where folk horror has been, where it's going, and ultimately what it says about humanity. I'm all for documentaries in general. I'm even more for horror documentaries, so I'm very excited for this one. Big time. And I have a feeling that coming away from it, it's gonna force me to add a bunch more films to my need to watch list, which is gigantic at this point. And hopefully I can get through all of it before I die. That's my goal. The next film is coming January 20th. It's called The Last Thing Mary Saw. And all of these are available. Since they're exclusives and originals, they're all available in every place that Shudder is available. Southold, New York, 1843. Young Mary, blood trickling from behind the blindfold tied around her eyes, is interrogated about the events surrounding her grandmother's death. As the story jumps back in time, we witness Mary, raised in a repressively religious household, finding fleeting happiness in the arms of Eleanor, the home's maid. Her family, who believe they are seeing, speaking, and acting on God's behalf, view the girl's relationship as an abomination to be dealt with as severely as possible. The couple attempts to carry on in secret, but someone is always watching or listening, and the wages of perceived sin threaten to become death, with the tension only heightened by the arrival of an enigmatic stranger and the revelation of greater forces at work. Jeez, that is a lot. Honestly, it should only be a few sentences, really. Like, that's too much. You're revealing too much about the film. Gonna be honest, not excited for this one. But you never know. Could be really good. And then the next one I am excited for, because it's another documentary thing. Coming January 27th, Boris Karloff, the man behind the monster. Beginning just before his debut as Frankenstein's creation, Boris Karloff, the man behind the monster, compellingly explores the life and legacy of a cinema legend, presenting a perceptive history of the genre he personified. His films were long derided as hokum and attacked by censors, but his phenomenal popularity and pervasive influence endures, inspiring some of our greatest actors and directors into the 21st century. Among them, Guillermo del Toro, Ron Perlman, Roger Corman, and John Landis, all of whom and many more contribute their personal insights and anecdotes. Yes, excited. Once again, love horror documentaries. Shows, series coming to Shudder for January, starting January 8th, and the way they usually do the series is they'll put out one episode each week, so I'm sure it's happening with these. A Discovery of Witches, Season 3. Now, I've been meaning to watch that show at some point, and at some point I will get to doing, to actually watching those and doing reviews of the seasons, but we'll see when that happens. Discovery Season of Witches, Discovery of Witches, Season 3. It's been a rough day, I tell you. Is January 8th. Now, I'm not going to read anything about that because it's Season 3, so if you're into the show, I assume you're not starting there, and if you're into the show, I assume that you've already seen Seasons 1 and 2, so you know what it's about. Also coming January 17th is their Etheria Season 3. For people who don't, well, I'll just read it. No, I won't. Well, I will in a minute. It doesn't have the backstory. Backstory is Etheria basically started as a film festival for all short horror, sci-fi, fantasy films. They're written and directed by women. Now it turned into a show on Shudder. I do keep meaning to get to it. They're already going to be dropping Season 3, which is crazy. So that's starting January 17th. Season 3 takes viewers to strange new worlds with stories directed by women about medieval warlords, magicians, musical androids, apocalyptic western gunslingers. I like that one in particular. Inescapable time loops, dead body buddy comedies. I like that one too. Middle-aged female assassins, homicidal hairstylists, demented surreal slashers, spare body parts, and more. Yeah, I mean, it sounds fun. And like I said, I keep meaning to get to it, but I will eventually. They are going to be dropping a folk horror collection. A lot of times they'll take films that are already on Shudder and films that are being dropped on Shudder and put them in one collection so you can see all those themed films at one time and pick from them. So they're doing a folk horror collection, which will include a bunch of films like Blood on Satan's Claw, The Wicker Man, Witchfinder General, blah, 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 blah. So I'll get to a lot of these, actually, which will be as I go through by the days in January. So a bunch of those are in there. And a bunch that are already existing, these new ones will be added to that for the folk horror collection. So you should be able to binge a ton of folk horror in January. Coming January 1st, a film that I have now said, I will say 3 times now, I'm going to watch this. This will be the 3rd time it's being re-added to Shudder within this year, which is kind of weird. Blood on Satan's Claw, and I am going to get to it this time. In 17th century England, the children of a village slowly convert into a coven of devil worshippers. Heard good things about it. Definitely want to watch it. I'm going to actually do it this time. I already even did my research for this one, but when I went to finally watch it, it was gone already. So the fact that it's coming back, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. Oh, by the way, all the movies that I'm going to be giving, unless I say otherwise, are all just for the United States, at least as far as I'm aware, based off what I've been given from Shudder here. Also coming January 1st, Witchfinder General. I've already watched this. I have a review on my channel. It's been on Shudder. It's being re-added. Great film. A young soldier seeks to put an end to the evils caused by a vicious witch hunter, Vincent Price, at his most evil, when the latter terrorizes his fiancée and kills her uncle. Definitely watch it. Not just for Vincent Price. It's a good flick. Also coming, the first, The Wicker Man, which I am a big fan of the original Wicker Man, and I haven't reviewed it yet, so I need to get on this. Naive Officer Sergeant Howie is sent to Summerisle, a secluded island off the coast of Scotland, to investigate the disappearance of a young girl named Rowan in this horror essential. When he arrives there, he finds a very tight-knit community that is mistrustful and hostile to outsiders. Soon, Howie begins to realize that the town might be a strange pagan cult, one given to unbridled sexuality and possible human sacrifice. Great film. I need to review it, though. Seen it a few times. Also coming, the first, Sinister. This is another one I think I should review. I like this. Washed-up true crime writer Ellison Oswalt finds a box of Super 8 home movies in his new home that suggests the murder that he is currently researching is the work of a serial killer whose legacy dates back to the 1960s. It's a good film. If you haven't seen it, it's a very good film. It's actually scary, and there aren't that many films I actually find scary. Really well pulled off. Also coming the first, Lake Mungo. I know this has been on Shudder before, being re-added. Joel Anderson's terrifying faux documentary chronicles a grieving family's strange, inexplicable experiences after the death of their daughter, Alice. Profoundly unsettled, they seek the help of a psychic and parapsychologist and discover Alice has been living a disturbed life, hiding dark secrets. Something haunted their daughter, and the terrifying truth awaits at Lake Mungo. Heard good things about that one. Might check it out, but then again, I overpromise with these. And the last one coming on the first, Eve's Bayou. What did little Eve see, and how will it haunt her? Husband, father, and womanizer Louis Batiste is the head of an affluent family, but it's the women who rule this gothic world of secrets, lies, and mystic forces. Sounds kind of vanilla. I don't know. All right, the next two films are coming January 3rd. Blood for Dracula. Writer-director Paul Morrissey and star Udo Kier, okay, you got me there, create a sumptuously depraved Euroshocker, you got me there. Desperate for virgin blood, Count Dracula journeys to an Italian villa only to discover the family's 3 young daughters are also coveted by the estate's Marxist stud. I want to do that one. And then the other one coming on the 3rd, Flesh for Frankenstein. A delectably gory and cynical social satire from acclaimed filmmaker Paul Morrissey, who did Flesh for Frankenstein, is among the most original and transgressive interpretation of Mary Shelley's classic novel. With an exceptional cast led by Udo Kier in what might be his most iconic performance. Okay, sounds good. Kind of interested in that one too. So the next 6 films are coming January 4th. Dark August. A man accidentally runs down a young girl and has a curse placed on him by the girl's father, an occultist. He goes to a spiritualist for help in fighting the curse. Maybe. Not that enticing sounding. Dream No Evil. A young orphan girl obsessed with finding her father gets adopted by a traveling church. She grows up and gets engaged, but her obsession with locating her father is about to turn deadly. Also, I don't know. Malatesta's Carnival of Blood. That title. Love that title. A family infiltrates a sinister carnival where their son mysteriously disappeared. I am very intrigued by this one. I might do that one. The Child. A newly hired housekeeper arrives to her employer's house in the countryside. She slowly discovers that the only child in the house, an 11-year-old girl, hides a deadly secret. Maybe. The Premonition. A foster mother begins experiencing psychic visions from the psychotic biological mother of her foster daughter begins stalking them. After the psychotic biological mother of her foster daughter begins stalking them. I might pass on that one. The Witch Who Came from the Sea. Molly experiences violent fantasies in which she ties up muscular men before bloodily dispatching them with a razor. But when a news report announces the shocking double murder of 2 footballers, which strongly echoes one of Molly's most recent depraved flights of fancy, the fantasy starts to bleed into reality. Literally. Interesting. Okay, that one sounds intriguing. The next 3 are coming January 5th. Beyond Dream's Door. Ben's nightmares come back to haunt him and his friends in this psychological supernatural horror film. That doesn't sound that enticing. Pass. Winter Beast. People are being killed off near a popular mountain lodge with a legend claiming that the mountain is haunted by a deadly Native American demonic curse. Pass, probably. Fatal Exam. A group of university students are invited by their parapsychology professor to investigate a haunted house for the weekend. Probably not. I'm going to pass on that one too. But with any of these, if you've seen them or you know about them and you would highly recommend them, put that in the comments. Let me know. I always like to be turned on to these because even if I don't get to them when they're on Shudder, I will add them to my watch list and try to get to them before I die. Coming January 10th, the next, geez, a lot coming January 10th. Eyes of Fire. A preacher is accused of adultery and he and his followers are chased out of town. They become stranded in an isolated forest which is haunted by the spirits of long dead Native Americans. Maybe. Il Demonio. A stunning story of obsessive love set in a rural southern Italian village where Christianity has integrated many of the old superstitious beliefs. Dahlia Lavi plays Purif, who is distraught when her lover is betrothed to another. Her erratic behavior is interpreted as demonic possession, leading the villagers to turn against her with physical and sexual violence. Ugh, sounds witch hunty. It is. Allison's Birthday. Getting its first official release since the VHS era, this Australian paranormal cult is unearthed. I think they meant cult classic. During a Ouija board session with her teenage friend, 16-year-old Allison gets a message from beyond the grave not to go home for her 19th birthday. Fast forward 3 years later to the week of her 19th. She gets a call from her mother that they're having a party to celebrate and they want her there alone. Ooh, yeah. That sounds kind of interesting. Leptirica. Okay. Based loosely on by Milovan Glisic's classic. Based loosely on Milovan Gilisic's classic 1880 Serbian vampire story After 90 Years, which preceded Bram Stoker's Dracula by nearly 2 decades. Its adaptation is subversive, darkly erotic, and takes on the pastoral tale of a group of rural villagers beset upon the infamous vampire Sava Savanovic, who has taken up residence in their local flour mill. I read a full article in Rue Morgue magazine about that film, and it does sound interesting. So I might try and check that out. Clear Cut. A white lawyer arrives to a remote area in northern Ontario to defend Indigenous activists who are blocking a logging company's clear cut of old growth on their land. A pacifist by nature, perceiving himself as sympathetic to Indigenous concerns, he finds his values shaken when he is paired with an angry, rogue Indigenous activist named Arthur, who insists on kidnapping the head of the logging company to take him deep into the forest, where he hopes to teach him the price of his destruction. Maybe. Wilczyzka. I don't even know. Wilzcyzca. Just saying. A domestic hit in Poland on first release, Marek Pistrok's stunning wintry werewolf film, is a sexually charged folktale that pits a 19th century Polish patriot against the ghost of his unfaithful wife, who haunts him from beyond the grave as a she-wolf. Ooh, that sounds very intriguing. I might want to do that one. Lake of the Dead. Considered a classic of Norwegian cinema, a group of colleagues venture to a remote cabin to look for a missing friend and are spooked by an old legend that the cabin had belonged to a man who killed his sister and her lover and then drowned himself in the lake. Since then, it is said that anyone who stays in the cabin will be driven to the same fate. That's the original. There was a remake that was like a Shudder original that I actually have a review for on my channel that came out, I think, last year. Tilbury. This made-for-TV film shares the Icelandic lore of the Tilbury, a creature who could be summoned by women in times of financial hardship and starvation. But the gifts of the Tilbury come with their own brand of destruction. Set in 1940 during the British occupation, a country boy discovers his childhood sweetheart is having an affair with a British soldier, but suspects it could be one of the evil creatures. Kind of interesting. Locus. A pastor and ethnographer visits a remote corner of 19th century Lithuania where folk customs associated with the area's pagan past still have a hold on the population. There he finds himself the guest of a strange old family consisting of a sadistic count and his mad mother, who, legend has it, was raped by a bear on her wedding night. Wow. The Count himself reputed to be the product of this bestial assault. Okay, that's a premise. Interesting. Might have to check that out. And then the last one for the 10th, It's so long. Edge of the Knife. Edge of the Knife is a feature-length Haida language film about pride, tragedy, and penance. Adidas E, the lead character in the film, is mentally and physically pushed to the brink of survival and becomes Gajid, the Haida wild man. The Gajid is one of Haida's most popular stories, sustained over the years through song and performance. Interesting. Sorry, my pronunciation. Terrible on that. Okay, and finally, the last two films coming to Shudder in January are coming on January 24th. The Last Matinee is the first of those. When a vicious murderer attacks a local cinema, the projectionist's daughter and a group of patrons must fight back in the darkness of the matinee. I think I've seen this one a bunch of years ago, and I wasn't a big fan of it, but maybe it needs a rewatch. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And the last one, I've heard about this one and heard good things. Dakra. A chilling horror following a journalist who, when investigating a gruesome case, makes a disturbing discovery about her past. Like I said, I've heard good things about Dakra. It may actually already be on my to-watch list, so I might try and get to that one. Anyway, that was a lot. Are you excited about this? Let me know in the comments. What films sound the best to you? What films should I definitely stay away from if you've already experienced them? Give me those recommendations down there, and then we can just talk about horror in general if you want to. Like I said, reminder, all of the exclusives and originals for Shudder, I will have no spoiler reviews for before they come out, so you can keep checking my channel for that stuff. Thank you very much for checking this out. Put the comments down there. Let's talk. Do me a favor, hit subscribe. If you like anything I put out there, this video or anything else, that is your way to repay me. I don't make money doing this or anything, and it is quick, painless, and costs you no money to subscribe, and it keeps me motivated. So please do that for me. Regardless, thanks for taking your time to watch this, and until next time, keep it brutal.